Alright, my beautiful baldies, we're back with One Punch Man chapter 178. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. Saitama versus full power Tatsumaki. And apparently there's like this crazy love triangle happening between Saitama x Fubuki x Tatsumaki. Which one is Saitama going to end up with? There's definitely some romantic element. One and Murata are teasing us that Saitama's gonna end up with one of them. He even embraces Tatsumaki at one point, and the look on her face is priceless. I'm sure you guys have seen this picture all over Twitter. So we have a lot to talk about. That's coming up right after this. Stop. You might be entitled to a large sum of money. If you've ever been injured in a car crash, you might need a law firm representing you like Morgan & Morgan, today's sponsor. They're one of the nation's leading injury law firms, and they make the entire process simple and easy for you. Hiring a lawyer can seem daunting, but Morgan & Morgan created a system where you can submit a claim to a legal team right from your phone. In less than 8 clicks, you can submit the claim from your couch. And Morgan & Morgan will fight for you. Plus, they don't charge you unless they win your case. I repeat, they don't charge you unless they win you a sum of money. You can check out Morgan & Morgan right now by clicking on the link in the description. So the chapter cover is Fubuki, interestingly enough. It's not like we haven't seen her on the cover, 8,000 times before. I like that he did this because it looks like he gave this to fans for them to color. So the One Punch Man community is awesome. Like, not only do they, do animations and fan comics and stuff like One Punch Man vs. God, but they also do a lot of manga colorings. And I think he knows that. I mean, I know a lot of people reply to him, like Murata himself tweets a lot. I think he kind of gave us this Fubuki for people to just color, and I think that's just really cool in its own right. And as we saw at the end of the last chapter, Tatsumaki was in a psychic battle with the Tsukuyomi, and she ended up just deleting the guy near the end of the chapter, but not before Saitama arrived and stopped Tatsumaki from hurting all of Fubuki's Blizzard group, because Tatsumaki said that they're useless, they have no powers, they don't help her, and Fubuki should just learn to be on her own. But Saitama didn't like the thought of Tatsumaki hurting innocent people, especially heroes, so he grabbed her arm, and you're like, oh boy, it's about to go down. And it does. So as Tatsumaki starts to use her psychic power, obviously Saitama isn't going to move very much, but he does actually start vibrating, which is like a huge feat in its own right, to even like be able to manipulate Saitama's body at all. Maybe it's not that big of a feat. I mean, like, Sea King did just punch Baldy on the back of the head, and it did bobblehead it didn't do any damage, but I think it's pretty impressive here in any case that Tatsumaki, using her psychic power, is actually able to, like, move Saitama, because perhaps she could just throw him out into space, but we do know that Saitama could just serious fart his way back to Earth now. So I don't think she could kill him or even hurt him, considering the fact that Saitama can fly in space and he doesn't need to breathe. So he's trying to tell Tatsumaki to calm down, and that pisses her off even more. She starts to use her psychic power so much that it starts to destroy the surrounding area. But Saitama isn't very impressed. He's like, this is the same psychic power you used against Genos to fling him into that rock, which we saw in episode 12 of season 1 of the anime. And he's saying, your power is not much different than Fubuki's. And, we did see Saitama fight Fubuki as well. And to Saitama, of course, it's not much different because no Esper can harm Saitama. So it all seems the same to him, but to Tatsumaki, that actually pisses her off quite a bit. And Fubuki makes a point to be like, yo, stop provoking Tatsumaki, like, you don't want to see her use her full power. So she starts to release like more of her Esper power, raising her power level, and the resulting damage is crazy. I mean, this reminds me of like the first battle with Orochi when Saitama fought him, and he used that crazy like dragon twister blast attack, and it just shot like this giant hole through the earth. This is very, very similar. So we get to see like what happens with what Tatsumaki is exactly doing with her psychic power when she's trying to like hurt someone with it, and it's twist their body into like a spiral. Essentially what she did with the Monster Association, as she turned it into like a giant spear and killed Psycho Orochi with it. And you can see Saitama like visibly being affected by this. Again, that's pretty impressive in its own right as well. Tatsumaki can't believe that Saitama can endure it, and Saitama responds with, what's going on? My muscles are twitching on their own. And this surprises Fubuki as well, because she can't believe that Saitama can withstand Tatsumaki's full power, she says. Now keep in mind these translations are fan translations, so this might not be the official translation. I don't know if this is exactly Tatsumaki's full power, but it's probably up there. Now here's where things get really interesting, okay? So Tatsumaki says, I thought I seen you somewhere before. You're the baldy that was with Genos. Weren't you part of the Fubuki group too? And that's when Saitama says, Fubuki, get everyone out of here. It's about to get dangerous. And we get this kind of like blushed look on Tatsumaki as she says, you're awfully familiar with my little sister, aren't you? Or do you like her? Are you guys dating? Like, you know, is there something going on here? You know, she's kind of like almost like, oh, maybe I shouldn't kill you, you know, if you're like with my sister like that. And Saitama's like, no, I'm not her friend. And the look on Fubuki's face in the next few panels is so priceless, dude. I'm not her companion or a mutual friend. I'm just an acquaintance. The look of sheer rejection on Fubuki's face is absolutely priceless. Is Saitama a Sigma Chad or what, dude? Why did Saitama say this? Isn't he supposed to fall in love with Fubuki? Or is he supposed to fall in love with Tatsumaki? Because we did see Tatsumaki kind of have a moment with Genos, and it was looking a little bit like for a while, Saitama might end up with Fubuki and Genos with Tatsumaki at the end of the series, right? Now we're not so sure. You see, the thing is about Fubuki is she's only been using him this entire time because he's strong. And in essence, Tatsumaki is right when she's telling her sister, you don't need anyone else. And Fubuki has just been preying on Saitama because she wants a really strong member in the group, and she sees him more of a subordinate, even though she knows how strong he actually is. She hasn't really expressed much romantic interest or anything, even like friendship in Saitama. She's more just trying to use him. And I think Saitama he's not Goku, right? Like he's a lot smarter than he comes off as. Like I think his like nature is pretty goofy and he can seem stupid, but Saitama is not stupid. Like he's really good at kind of like seeing through people. And I think that he has seen through Fubuki. So I was tweeting about this chapter yesterday quite a bit and saying that Saitama was a Sigma Chad. And I got this funny reply from Andy Edward who said, it's just another proof that he has ascended beyond humanly earthly desires, because no man can hold himself from having that cake in front of him. And then we get a lot of cake in this chapter, boy. I mean, take a look at this next image. Tatsumaki getting pretty pissed and like, oh, you're nothing to my sister? Okay, time to kill you now. And it's pretty evident here that Murata knows exactly what he's doing with these two sisters. It definitely makes the audience happy. I think it makes him happy to draw their booties a lot. Like Murata definitely, he just has fun with the aesthetic look and posing of the two sisters. And it's like, I think he's done this on purpose to kind of create these two subgroups of the One Punch Man community. You have Saitama x Fubuki shippers and Saitama x Tatsumaki shippers. Now that's gonna come in a video tomorrow. I wanna talk about the crazy love triangle in One Punch Man right now because there are two groups fighting with each other, literally fighting with each other on Twitter and Reddit about who Saitama's gonna end up with and who's the better waifu. So Tatsumaki says, I'm gonna test you, Saitama, to see if you deserve to be hanging all over my little sister Fubuki like that. He's like, what do you mean hanging over? She's always dragging me around and being a pain in the arse. And that's when Tatsumaki starts to release even more psychic power. Now this is starting to crumble the new hero complex where Saitama's house is, his new house, because you gotta remember that Tatsumaki's Spear of Monster Association attack destroyed Saitama's apartment. So now he's living in the new hero building with all of the other heroes and rich residents that are over there, and Tatsumaki's psychic power is starting to crumble that building. So Saitama's like, you treat people's houses like rags. And yeah, I mean, Tatsumaki doesn't care. There's not really anybody that can stop her, she doesn't think, except maybe Blast. And she's like laughing. She's like, haha, how long can you handle my psychic power, my full power? And Saitama just straight up grabs her. So this is like the funniest panel with this one and the next one. I love this picture so much. First of all, What are those? What is my man Saitama doing with them Crocs? I don't know, it's hilarious in its own right. And Tatsumaki's face is so funny, the eyeball. She's never really been touched, I don't think, by like any man. She was taken over by the Tsukiyomi and experimented on for 3 years before Blast saved her. I don't know if Blast like raised her a little bit or just disappeared and she kind of raised herself. Probably makes a little bit more sense, seeing as she's such a loner. Oh boy, okay, so we gotta talk about this picture, because this picture has fans going absolutely nuts. First of all, is my man copping a feel? I mean, he's hugging her so tight that it's squishing her boobie. Now, the face she has on is so priceless, and Murata drew it so well. It perfectly depicts what's going through Tatsumaki's head right now. First of all, she's probably never been embraced like that, so that's a brand new feeling, and she's never encountered anyone that can manhandle her except maybe Blast. So this is completely throwing her off, and now that she knows that Saitama isn't interested in her sister, this is where the fandom's like, oh, we're gonna get Saitama x Tatsumaki. She's gonna see Saitama as like the only one that can stand up to her, and that's gonna turn her on, and she's gonna like want him. Now, is there gonna be a fight between the two sisters over who gets to date Saitama in the future? I don't know. We'll talk about that in the love triangle video that's coming this weekend. But in any case, this panel is just marvelous. Like, I was laughing my butt off. So because Saitama doesn't want Tatsumaki to use her psychic power too much and destroy his new house, he just rockets out of the ceiling with her. And they just fly up into the sky. I love this double page panel, by the way. I mean, look at the angling, the foreshortening, the detail of the city, even like the landscape with all these craters from, you know, the Cosmic Garo fight and all this stuff. It's just awesome. So Fubuki looks up. God, it's a beautiful picture of her. I mean, dude, the way he uses lights and darks to give her so much volume, it's just beautiful art. Fubuki says, Saitama and Big Sis, it's begun. And it's going to go on for a while. So in the webcomic, this was like, I believe 3 or 4 chapters long, they're fighting. I just covered that on my channel earlier as well. So this is a pretty big hype event that is about to happen here in the manga. And yeah, guys, that's the end of the chapter. So I love this. This was like funny and engaging to fans, because now you have people like fighting with each other over like which, you know, girl Saitama's gonna end with. You should just go on Twitter. Like, it's hilarious to see them fighting with each other over it. Now, personally, I want Saitama to end up with Fubuki, and I want Tatsumaki with Genos. But it could be flip-flop. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out in 10 years or something like that. This was an awesome chapter. It was so good. There's just so much like character and romantic progression kind of like happening at the same time. And this is a big fight between a powerhouse S-rank number 2 that's never been defeated and Saitama, who's never been defeated. So they're about to go butt heads with each other, and us readers are in for a treat. So I'm super pumped. Next chapter will be in 2 weeks. But look out for a video this weekend talking about the One Punch Man love triangle, because I want to put all the references to all the love interests and all the things that have happened in the past and try and figure out who's going to end up with who. I'll see you guys for that video. Thanks.